Hey friends, it is Shauna from lovelyrusticweddings.com and with love from vinyl.etsy.com. We're going to be doing a tutorial today on waterslide decals. The cups that I'm working on have been prepped, which means they've been taped off, sanded, washed, spray painted, glittered twice, and I'm on the first layer of epoxy. Sometimes with a waterslide decal, I will apply it after the second layer of epoxy, but if the cup is smooth enough, I'll go ahead and add it after the first. So these have just been epoxied once. We'll apply the decal and then epoxy 2 more times after these dry overnight. So this first cup we're doing is a pink ribbon waterslide. Go ahead and place the waterslide in the water, and you are releasing it from the paper backing. I offer these decals for purchase at withlove.from.vinyl.etsy.com, and I use the tutorials for my customers as a way for them, if they're not familiar with water slides, so that they can get familiar with how to apply them before they go ahead and do it on their own. So that is why I do the tutorials, and of course for anyone wanting to do water slides, if you find them helpful, that is amazing. I'm so happy I was able to help. The temperature is usually room temperature. The waterslide decals that I sell are ready to use, so when you receive them, you won't need to seal them in any way. You'll literally get them, trim them down, and place them on your cup. Okay? So this is, as you can see, sliding away from the backing. It is ready to be placed on your cup. So I wet the cup a little bit in the area that I'm going to apply it, and I do try to find wherever I apply it is going to be the front of the cup. So I want to make sure that there aren't any areas on that cup that I wouldn't want being the main feature. So if you've seen, I actually had that one fold in on itself. Okay, so we placed we wet the cup, placed the waterslide decal, and now we need to pull the water out from behind the decal itself. And that's how you get the cup, the water slide to adhere to the cup and stay in place. And then the epoxy is what will seal it in. So I just take a silicone squeegee and pull the water out from behind the decal, making sure there are no bumps or wrinkles in the decal. And then, let me make sure I'm still on tape. Yes, okay, sorry. Once all that water is out, your decal is good to go. So this one is set. We're going to let this dry overnight. We'll apply 2 more layers of epoxy, and then your cup will be ready to use. Easy peasy. Remember, I offer these for purchase at withlove.from.vinyl.etsy.com. They can be ordered there, and they are all ready to use. So when you receive them, you will not need to do any sealing when they're ordered from me. If you're printing your own, depending on if you're using a laser or inkjet printer, will determine whether or not they need to be sealed. I do not know how to seal them. I've never had personal experience, so I do apologize. I don't usually have many details to offer as far as what to seal it with, how to seal it, that kind of fun thing. So I apologize that I'm not more helpful with that. But I'm happy to answer any other questions that you may have in regards to applying the decal. If I'm able to help, I'll be more than happy to. If not, I will let you know. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We are doing this next water slide. It's on a 30-ounce skinny as well. The cup we just did was a 30-ounce skinny. This one is rose gold glitz at the bottom from withlove.from.vinyl.etsy.com, and the top is a white glitter I don't offer yet, but I'm ordering it, and it should be available not this week coming up. What are we? We're May 6th today. Not this week coming up, but the following week it'll be available for purchase. So as you drop it in the water, you're just letting that water slide release from the paper backing. It doesn't take long. Remember, you want to have your cup wet, so that gives you some maneuverability when you're placing the decal. If you don't get it quite right the first time, having a wet cup helps you maneuver the the decal a little bit so you're not stuck with where it lands. And as you're pulling the backing out from behind it, you are paying attention, trying to make sure we don't introduce too many wrinkles. I don't know if you've seen, I was getting a wrinkle right there, so now I'm going to go up to try that, pull that wrinkle out before we start placing the decal. The silicone squeegees are not required, but are extremely helpful in making sure we get all the water out from behind the decal and making sure we get all the wrinkles out. If you don't have one, it's not the end of the world. You can use a piece of wet paper towel. If you have one, you know how useful they are. If you'd like to purchase them, I will link them. I think you get like 4 of them for like $6 on Amazon. So they do not break the bank by any means. And they do work wonders pulling that water out from behind the decal and making sure you're not introducing any wrinkles. Okay. That one looks good. And you'll see I switched to both. I need to be able to feel it too, because sometimes you think you see something and it's not quite, it's not there. Especially since I have a tendency to work so late at night. Okay, so once you get it placed, you're set to go. Move on to the next. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. We've got, you see how quick and easy these are. They don't take any time at all once you get the hang of them. So once I let these dry overnight, I will actually be doing the second coat of epoxy tomorrow. After the second coat of epoxy, we will sand any areas necessary, and then we will apply the third and final coat of epoxy. So waterslide decals are my favorite to do. And as you get the hang of them, they become easier and easier. A lot of people use inkjet decals, and they require some steps as far as sealing goes. And I don't want to give false information. I can only tell you what I've heard, but I don't have personal experience. I've heard they need to be sealed about 3 times before they're able to be used, but I don't know that for certain. So it can be intimidating using a water slide for the first time, especially if you're using an inkjet where you've got to do the sealing yourself. Because if you don't seal it properly and you drop it into the water, all that ink is going to run. And we, of course, don't want that when you worked so hard to get the decal created. Okay. So once you place it, you start pulling the water out from behind it, getting rid of any wrinkles. Now this one is going to have a few different decals. It's also going to have a vinyl name added to it. So this will get this decal, then it'll be epoxied, and then it will have a vinyl decal added right in the center there of the wreath you see, and then it will have its third and final coat of epoxy. Now I'm just blotting it dry because I have 2 more decals to add to this cup, so I don't want to move this one while I'm adding the others. So that's why I'm blotting this one dry. And then we will add the other 2 decals. These other 2 decals go at the bottom of this cup. I'm hoping I'm still, let me move up. Go at the bottom of the cup to trim off the sides. When I'm doing decals towards the bottom, I want to make sure I don't go over this edge here. I want it to be just over this edge, so when I add the next layer of epoxy, it completely encompasses that water slide decal and all of the edging. And just keep it in the water long enough to where you get it to release. If it's not released completely, you'll have issues as you're trying to maneuver it off, and you can stretch the decals. Okay, so once you see it start to slide around on that, and we wet it, you're ready to place it. because we wet the cup, we're able to move it down to where we want it to be placed. See how you can move it a little bit around on there. It's not completely stuck until you start pulling the water out behind it. Once you start pulling the water, it's a little bit harder to move, so make sure before you take that squeegee to it that you like the placement, and then pull the water out. Okay, so that's it for this one. We're going to let that one dry. You can tell when I'm working with these are the same ones. Like if you were to order a water slide decal from me, these are the same ones you'd be getting. You see I'm not very gentle with them. I mean, that is pretty, they're pretty resilient. So don't think that they're, you don't want to be too rough, of course. I mean, they can tear and break and all of the fun things. But they're not all that fragile either, so don't be afraid to move them around a little if needed. I'm just getting this one wet here, and we're going to place that final decal here at the bottom. Once this is set to go, I'm trying to make sure you're still on tape. Look at that. I don't know how long this video is, but we have done 3 cups and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different water slide decals by the time we're said and done. Not too shabby. All of the decals that I did today are available with the exception of the antlers. I haven't added the antlers yet. But all of the succulents and the ribbon are available for order at withlovefromvinyl.etsy.com. Once you get it placed, pull the water out from behind it. And that is it, my friends. That is as easy as it gets. We're going to let these dry overnight, epoxy in the morning. And they will be good to go once they're dry. So, that is it. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much for watching, guys. You have a great evening.